little more, I don't know, trying to be a little fancier. So, wide open and unguarded stand our gates. Let's just stop there for a second. Just working through that poem as best you could, did you get the sense, did he find this idea of the gates of the nation being unguarded a good idea or a bad idea?
Good idea.
He thinks it's horrible.
Oh, I'm just off today.
But I understand, because the way this stuff is written is nothing like what you're used to today. So that's okay. That's why we're going through it. Okay, named for the four winds, north, south, east, west, portals that lead to an enchanted land. So he is presenting, in a way, part of what Emma Lazarus presented in hers, right? This is a glorious, magical place. I understand why people want to come here. An enchanted land of cities, forests, fields of living gold, vast prairies, lordly summits touched with snow, majestic rivers sweeping proudly past. Okay. Sweeping proudly past the Arab's date palm and the Norseman's pine. Huh?
Just trees.
Trees. So palm trees, pine trees. That's all he's saying. We have a variety of climates that have a variety of trees. That is how a 1900s poet would have phrased something like that. Okay. A realm wherein are fruits of every zone, heirs of all climes, for lo, throughout the year the red rose blossoms somewhere. Which is true. You can grow roses somewhere in the United States any time of year. A rich land, a later Eden planted in the wild, with not an inch of earth within its bound, but if a slave's foot press, it sets him free. Okay, that last bit is what usually throws people off. So up until that slave bit, he's just saying, this is a fabulous place. We have oceans and rivers and trees of every kind and fruits of every kind and flowers bloom all year round, and this is paradise. A later Eden, it's paradise. With not an inch of earth within its bound, but if a slave's foot press, it sets him free. What? What does that mean?
Land of the free?
Okay, land of the free.
Or is it saying the total opposite?
No, land of the free, but why does he phrase it the way he phrases it? Because he could have just said land of the free. He's saying something a little more here. Matthew?
Did he want to kind of bring up the slaves and kind of talk about the bad parts of the United States?
No. Not a bad guess, but no, I don't think so. If anything, he's ignoring the fact that slavery was ever part of the United States. This is 1900. Slavery has been gone for, 45 whole years at this point. What he's saying is, if anybody in the world comes here who is a slave, the minute they step on our soil, they're free. Because we don't do that kind of stuff. And we haven't for 45 whole years. So, no, he's almost making it sound like we're so good we would never tolerate something like slavery. We believe in freedom so strongly. He's actually sort of giving the impression that we're certainly above anything like that. Well, yeah, we were, but by 1900, but he's kind of pushing the boundaries of his rhetoric here. It's like, yeah, okay, we don't do that anymore, but it's in our pretty recent past at that point. And he's kind of acting like, no, we're way better than that. Here it is written, toil shall have its wage. If you work, you're going to get paid for it. You're not slaves. And honor. In other words, if you live with honor, you will be honored. Okay? And the humblest man stand level with the highest in the law. What does he mean there?
Everybody's treated Like no one's above the law?
No one's above the law. We don't have, a system where if you are part of the royalty, you get special treatment, or if you're part of the government, you get special treatment. The lowest of the low, the highest of the high, all answer to the law equally. Of such a land have men in dungeons dreamed, and with the vision brightening in their eyes, gone smiling to the faggot and the sword. Faggot is like a torch. So basically he's saying like there have been people who have I think he's calling up images of people being burned alive, or the sword being beheaded, killed, something like that. And he's saying this is a land not just of fabulous natural wonders, but also of wonderful freedoms. No slaves, everybody equal in the eyes of the law. People who have been rotting away in dungeons have dreamed of a place like this. This is paradise for them. So the first part of this is setting up the U.S. as no wonder everybody wants to come here. Of course we do. They do as well. But now he goes back to the theme he started with. Wide open and unguarded stand our gates. What do we think of when we think of gates? Like, what do gates do? They keep people out, right? Think of like an expensive gated community. They don't throw the gates open and leave them open and not have a guard there. That would be craziness. Why do you have the gates if they're not guarded? So he's saying we need gatekeepers. We need people watching who's coming into this country. And if our gates are open and unguarded, well, that's just nuts. And through them presses a wild, motley throng. Does that sound like a very complimentary way to refer to the people coming? Now, Emma Lazarus said, you're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Also not very complimentary, but what's the difference between the way he's saying it and the way she said it?
She's got some sympathy or empathy, and he's like these crazy bastards who want Russia
Yeah.
to destroy us.
She's saying, I don't blame them for the condition they're in, and we will welcome them. He is saying, wild, motley throng. This sounds like a riotous mob, right? We don't want them. Why would we want people like that? Men from the Volga. Anybody look that up?
The river in Russia?
Okay. And the Tartar steppes, same part of the world. Featureless figures from the Huang Ho. Anybody look that up? China, I believe. Malayan, Scythian, Teuton, Celt, and Slav. He's naming parts of the world where he's saying, we don't want the people from there. They're not our kind. These are not the people we want in this country. Flying the old world's poverty and scorn. We don't want poor people. These bringing with them unknown gods and rites. What's he talking about there? Religions. Okay, if they don't practice our religion, we don't want them. Those tiger passions here to stretch their claws. In street and alley, what strange tongues are loud. What's he talking about there? Different languages. Accents of menace alien to our air. Voices that once the Tower of Babel knew. So all that stuff we talked about on Monday about what culture is. Right? He's talking about religion. He's talking about language. He's talking about different cultural norms. And he's saying, we don't want them here. That's not us. And if you can't be like us, if you're not starting out like us, basically, you're not welcome. Oh, liberty, white goddess. Oh, there's a phrase. He's also talking about the Statue of Liberty. So he may just be talking about the statue, which was not green when it started out, although it wasn't white either. So yeah, it was copper. Yeah. So still, the fact that he's calling this white goddess, I think that's a very, very revealing phrase. To leave the gates unguarded, on thy breast fold sorrow's children, soothe the hurts of fate, lift the downtrodden, but with hand of steel, stay, in other words, stop, those who to thy sacred portals come to waste the gifts of freedom. So a minute ago, he particularly called out Russians, people from Eastern Europe, and I said on Monday, Eastern Europe had a lot of radical political ideas. They were playing around with the ideas of socialism and communism and things like that. They had anarchists. What's an anarchist? Anybody know?
Like a riot.
No government. No government.
No government.
rules.
They believe there should be no government, no rules. I'm pretty open-minded about people having their own political views, but I'll be the first to say, I don't see that working under any circumstances. But okay. But he's saying, stop those people who don't deserve the freedoms they would get here. They would waste it. They don't understand. They would waste it. Have a care, lest from thy brow the clustered stars be torn and trampled in the dust. He's talking about the crown. So of old the thronging Goth and Vandal, okay, those were foreign invaders who helped bring down the Roman Empire and things like that. It's where we get the word vandalism.
Yeah, Germans.
German, yeah, they were mostly of German-ish derivation. So Vandals are where we get vandalism. Goth is where we get Gothic. Trampled Rome, and where the temples of the Caesars stood, the lean wolf unmolested made her lair. So he's saying the exact opposite of what Emma Lazarus said. She was saying, all you poor people out there in the world longing to breathe free, come here and we will welcome you. I will be your nurturing, protective mother. And he is saying, no, that is not what the Statue of Liberty should be. The Statue of Liberty is the gatekeeper. And she's right there by Ellis Island, where a lot of the immigrants were coming from Europe, were coming into Ellis Island. And he is saying, no, this should not be universally welcoming. This should be, if you're not our type, the right religion, the right language, the right political beliefs, then we don't want you. Don't show up. We don't want you here. So what do we make of these two poems written within a couple decades of each other, talking about the Statue of Liberty, and making exact opposite arguments? So at the beginning of the semester, I talked about the kinds of evidence that historians use to piece together the past. If we only looked at one or the other of these, would we have a complete picture of attitudes about immigration at that period? Okay, so we have two primary sources that are saying totally opposite things. So if you were a historian writing about attitudes on immigration at this period and came across these two poems and wanted to use them, how would you use those two absolutely polar opposite views to piece together attitudes from the past?